Some companies set up sustainability task force or teams, and it's kind of their job to be sustainable. At Burt's, it's everybody's job. We say everyone's an eco-bee. It's a matter of everyone keeping sustainability in the back of their mind as they do their day-to-day work. It's not Steve's job or another employee's job. It's all of us. We may facilitate, we'll offer subject matter expertise, but it's up to every employee to be on the lookout for opportunities to contribute.
So as soon as we're getting ready to fulfill an order, we can throw it on and automatically moves down the rollers. The rollers only turn when a box is in the zone. And as soon as it clears that space, it turns off automatically. So it continuously works only when there's something in that zone.
We set some very specific 2020 sustainability goals. We set out to achieve 100% employee engagement. We want to have 100% natural formulas in our products, 100% biodegradable or post-consumer recycled content on our packaging, 100% renewable energy. We want to operate in a zero waste environment, and we want all of our buildings to be at least LEED certified. And we have some short-term goals. Our fiscal 11 goals include 1 million gallons or less of what we call non-product water. So that's all the water we use except for what literally goes into our products. We want to use 5 million kilowatt hours or less of electricity. We also want to further reduce the amount of material that's not being recycled or composted. We call that waste to energy. Used to be landfill material. And we're also striving to continue our Green Derby scores.
All right, see what we have in here. Looks pretty good, but wait a minute. We have a plastic lid and a compostable, so we're gonna have to fail this one.
It's really about auditing our byproduct bins, whether it's waste to energy, recycling, compost, making sure that we're sorting our materials properly. And that's done formally every month by employees in each building and reported back. It's part of our scorecard or our dial score we put out. There's also a lot of informal communication that happens, employees helping one another. It's not uncommon to see an employee sort of standing at one of these central waste stations, looking at the sign, looking at what they have in their hand, and then you see another employee come up and approach them about it, and they figure it out together. We also have employees that like to bring things in on their own, and they may not be able to recycle something at home, but they can here. So we get some of that material coming into our facilities as well. And finally, our new goal for this year is an inventory goal, thinking a little bit more broadly about our environmental impacts. By reducing our on-hand inventory, we're reducing our energy use, water use, et cetera, by reducing the facility space that's needed. So we're tackling that this year. Most waste to energy, the conventional view is to burn it to generate electricity or perhaps steam that can then be sold. In our case, we're working with a company that shreds the materials and blends it into a fuel for cement manufacturers. So they're actually replacing some of the coal they would burn otherwise with this alternative fuel mixture. And the other difference is, as a result, the ash from combusting this alternative fuel is actually incorporated into the cement. Well, here's a look at our trash containers through the years. When we first started our recycling program, we labeled the bins as general waste, but we realized that wasn't specific enough. We wanted to really call out the fact that this material was not being recycled, was not being composted, so we changed the labels to say landfill. And that was very effective with our employees until we eliminated landfill. So we've now changed the label one more time to read waste to energy. And we tried to come up with a little graphic showing trash being turned into energy, lighting that light bulb. So the primary success in fiscal 10 was achieving zero waste to landfill. And it was a long, hard battle we fought. It's been 4 years in the making since the eco-bees first got started with the initial recycling program and really engaging the employees. And all through the path we found alternatives to recycle, to compost, to donate, and also to reduce incoming materials.
We are having our all-employee huddle here at Burt's Bees, and we're also celebrating Earth Day as well as having a bee cycle event where employees are actually able to bring in some of their old items that they're no longer using, and for free folks get to take them home.
It's not trash, it's usable items that anyone can take home and bring home to their families.
Bikes, and it's coffee pots and Little Mermaid prints, and we have a lot of sports equipment coming in, tennis rackets and golf clubs.
I dropped off a coffee table and a wall sconce and 2 candlesticks.
I dropped off shoes and purses and pajama pants and just stuff I had laying around the apartment.
It's a little rocking chair for my niece. It's a horse that rocks. It's great.
Electronics, cameras.
Somebody even dropped off an iPod.
Vacuum cleaners and a tent and other odds and ends.
Candlestick in the wall sconce. My husband has not liked it for the last 10 years. So the deal was when we moved, I got rid of it. So here it is. I loved it, but he really didn't. So
celebrating this year, seeing our dumpsters hauled off site, explaining to our former trash provider that we no longer need their services, and that we're not just changing to a different company, we literally changed how we operate and we no longer need that kind of service. It was a very interesting discussion to have with that supplier. Well, here it is, or here it's not for that matter. This is where our trash compactor used to be at our manufacturing site. You have to envision a big metal box sitting here, so we haven't needed it. Since October of 2009, we've been zero landfill from the manufacturing plant. And with that, we no longer need to have a container on site. So there's no going back for us. We don't have the option of putting anything in the trash, so we have no trash container to put it in. So one of the opportunities that also has presented some challenges is we relocated our administrative operations to a building in downtown Durham in May of 2009. And we hadn't built that larger building, increased footprint into our goals for fiscal 10. While it's great to be in that building because it supports revitalization of downtown Durham, it's on a beautiful campus, it's walkable, it's close to public transportation, it's adaptive reuse of a historic building, which is great for a number of reasons, but it's also presented some challenges from an environmental point of view. Figuring out how we can be efficient with our water and energy use in that sort of facility has been a bit of a challenge, but we're stepping up our game and trying to do some more mapping around energy and water use in the building and understand what our opportunities are here in fiscal 11. So we share our progress against our sustainability goals with all of our stakeholders in a variety of ways. We've hosted a number of tours, local industry, a variety of folks from flooring manufacturers to pharmaceutical have come through our facilities and walked with us to learn how we've done thus far on our journey. And at the same time, we look to them for ideas of things that maybe we haven't thought of yet. We engage our employees continuously through regular communication meetings, a monthly newsletter, and also just discussions day in and day out about how they can improve their piece of the operations, and also things that they can take home and use for themselves.
Yeah, I started separating my products at home, my aluminum, my plastic cartons, working at a company that has you think about this constantly at work, you take it home with you.
So basically, you know, a ton of people here that I've talked to have started composting at home, and they now recycle, and they worry about which goes where and what they can recycle at home and what they can't. They sometimes bring in and sort here. So it's just a great learning experience on top of knowing that you're doing well.
This right here is our raw wastewater that comes to us from the washroom and compounding. This is our raw water after being treated with polymer and alumina. The clear water is at the top. The solids are settled to the bottom. You pump the clear water off the top. It goes to our RO system. The solids is going to the Alloys machine, which is being sucked up by a coke and a vacuum system that sucks the solids dry, turns it into like sand. This right here is the clear water that comes off the top after being treated. It runs through the RO system and is being reused. And basically that's it.
So with our water conservation efforts, we've installed the reverse osmosis system to do that reclamation for reuse, which is a great step forward. But we also learned there's another challenge there for us. Our existing treatment processes for the water, basically to remove the lotions and face creams and so forth from the water before we send it to the sewer. We found extreme variability in that treatment process. So what we're finding is some of the batches of water we can reclaim. Others we can only treat them to the point that we can discharge them to the city. They're not compatible with our treatment system. So work continues on optimizing or refining our existing treatment processes to get stability and repeatability. even though we're in a batch manufacturing process. So every gallon of water that comes back to our treatment operation is different than the last. So we're learning as we go, and it's really a cross-functional team with facilities, production, engineering, trying to dive into it to address the issue and make the system work. So we take a little broader view of the definition of solid waste. We talk about byproducts, and it's a very broad definition looking at anything leaving the building that's not a finished good that we can sell or an employee. Anything else that leaves the building, we capture, we weigh it before it goes out, and we track it. The manner in which we weigh it is simply by installing floor scales. We have one in each of our facilities that's dedicated strictly for weighing byproducts. It gets logged, it gets tabulated, and it allows us to know what our total weight of material going out of the building is and track year on year to see where we have opportunities by stream, and that allows us to move further up that hierarchy. So we feel it's communicating our 2020 goals and our short-term goals is very important, and we do that through our corporate social responsibility report, of course, our website. We also do it internally with our employees. There's a lot of discussion about what the goals are, how we're tracking against those goals, and how they can impact them along the way. One of the reasons that that performance is so important to our employees is all of us have skin in the game. We're all tracking part of our bonus or short-term incentive against how we do against those sustainability goals. So as a company, we'll have a top-line dashboard, as we call it, where we track some financial and sales information, but then we also have a score for sustainability that's right there, measuring the health of the company. Specifically includes sustainability performance.
Well, I think one of the most important things for us is to make sure that we pack right the first time to eliminate any waste of materials. The other thing that we are really focused on is recycling, making sure that we put everything in the right bins. Last month, in our audit, this whole area managed to score 100%, so that means that all the bins were correct. That's a big one. That's one that we really focus on and we talk on a daily basis.
What we do here to help ensure that our packages aren't damaged is we make sure that we fill these out as complete as possible with dunnage. And the nice thing about what we do here is we aren't using peanuts or styrofoam, we're using 100% recyclable paper. This helps ensure not just from a sustainability standpoint, but to making sure that our customers don't have issues when they're disposing of the paper.
So one of the unique changes that's happened since the acquisition with Clorox is partnering with their eco office. We have sharing calls at least monthly, and along the way a lot of work by email, data exchange, best practice sharing, just idea sharing. Not only do we have access to their group of subject matter experts that we can discuss ideas with, but also they give us access to some of the bigger industry activities going on, things that we might not normally get involved with, so we're a smaller player in the market. Clorox is at the forefront of being engaged with these large organizations and big initiatives. One of the most recent being the Walmart Sustainability Consortium. We've definitely been looking at that from the outside, following what's in the press, but through Clorox we've actually joined and have packaging engineer and myself and our VP of R&D engaged in those discussions, and without being part of Clorox we wouldn't have had a seat at that table. We continue to challenge the rest of the organization to raise their game, and that's really gratifying to sort of look back and think that a number of those plants are where we were a few years ago, and we've harvested a lot of that low-hanging fruit. We see it in our graphs of performance, and we know how big the footprint of Clorox is relative to just Burt's Bees. So the impact that we're about to have is really inspiring.